Most of us know that the very beautiful Misha Beirach that is said for those people who do not speak in shul, do not speak during davening, was written by the Tosfos Yontif. And the language of that Misha Beirach is so beautiful. Not only does the Tosfos Yontif confer brachas on those people in this world and the next world, but he has a very beautiful expression that these people who are so careful not to speak in shul, that Yira Zera Kosher Chayim V'Kayomim, they're going to see wonderful children that will live long and will give them nachas. And that's so beautiful. And I always think that when you hear a tefillah that someone made, it's so important to know, why was this tefillah made? Who made it? What's his background? And then I think that we'll get a deeper understanding of how important this tefillah is. Now, the tefillah, as we said, was written by the Tosfos Yontif. And many times when I lead tours to Poland, we go to Krakow and we go to the kever of the Tosfos Yontif. He's buried in a very, very special cemetery. It's known as the Ramah Cemetery. The Ramah, Rav Moshe Isserles is buried there. The Bach is buried there. The Megala Amukais is buried there. And also the Rebbe of the Shach. Very, very choshev, tremendous Talmidei Chachamim. But I must tell you that every single time that I go to the monument, to the kever, the gravesite of the Tosfos Yontif, I cry, because he lived a very sad life. I don't know if you know this, but he actually never saw his father. His father died a few days before he was born. What an awful tragedy. He was raised by his grandfather, and still in all, he became a very great Talmid Chacham, and he had something else to overcome. It looks like he was very sick as a child, and they added two names to him, Gershon and Shaul. And it's interesting, on the Matzeva, his name is not only Yontif Liebman Heller, but it's Gershon Shaul as well. But most people don't know that, they never call him that, and it doesn't look like he ever signed it. But when he was 38, he finished the commentary, the famous commentary that he wrote on Mishnayos. And who was his Rebbe? His Rebbe was the Klei Yakar and the Maral. Now I want to read you something remarkable that a very choshev Rav in Prague once wrote about the Maral in relation to the Tosfos Yontif. And he writes like this about the Maral. The Maral's hands did not produce a goylam. His great wisdom, talking about the Maral, is reflected not that he produced a goylam, but that he produced the opposite, a great disciple, the Goin and glory of Klal Yisrael, Rabbi Yontif Liebman Heller, author of the Tosfos Yontif. That's what the Maral accomplished, building a tremendous Talmid Chacham who, as we said, finished the commentary on Mishnayos when he was only 38 years old. Now, unfortunately, when he was the Rav in Prague, and he was the Rav many different places, but this happened in 1629, there were two Yidden that had it out for him, and they made his life miserable. And what they did, if you could believe it, is that they went to the Christian government and they wrote that in the Sefer Madane Melech that the Tosfos Yontif had written, he wrote against the Christian government. And he was arrested, and he had to be taken to Vienna, and he was put in solitary confinement, and there was a whole mishpat against him, and he aged terribly. Now, there's a very, very poignant sefer that was written about this incident. I want you to look at it very closely. Now, I realize that this is a drawing of the Tosfos Yontif, but look at his eyes. The eyes are so sad, because he really went through so much. As we said, he lost his father before he was born. He was sick as a child. And now he lost his prominent position in Prague. And it's a whole long story, which is not for now, how his son Shmuel happened to come back from France where he was learning, and he met his father and he hardly recognized him. And this sefer is written not only by the Tosfos Yontif, but it's written also by the son Shmuel to give his view what happened. And then the Tosfos Yontif wrote this sefer called Megillas Eva. Eva means hatred. These two Jews who didn't like him. And Eva stands for Eicha Yashva Vadod Ha'ir. Imagine, he wrote a whole sefer, what happened in that terrible time when he had to be in jail and there was accusations against him. But Baruch Hashem, eventually he was able to get out, and he was able to have that position back in Krakow, where he became, together with the Pnei Yeshua, he was together with the Pnei Yeshua, and eventually he became the Rav in Krakow. But life, the sadness of his life was not over. You see, in the years of 1648 and 1649, there were terrible, terrible pogroms against the Yidden. Those are the years that are known as Tach V'Tat. 300,000 Yidden were killed by that terrible Russia Bogdan Khmelnytsky. And that happened in the Ukraine. And afterwards, the Tosfos Yontif wrote the moving tefillah, Keil Molei Rachmim. Even those words, Keil Molei Rachmim, when you hear them, and especially when you hear them at a levaya or at a memorial service, and they're said poignantly and so slowly, you can know for sure that the one who wrote them with a broken heart, wrote them with a heart of contrition. He wrote them with a heart that was so close to Hashem. It's visualized in those words. And then he made a Shailas Chaloim. A Shailas Chaloim means that he was mispalel, that Hashem should come to him in a dream and tell him why Nebuch Jews suffered, and they suffered and 300,000 were killed. And you know what it's written in Svarim? It says that in the Shailas Chaloim, he was answered. Min HaShamayim onuloi, they answered him. B'shel hihasnagus shal kalos reish b'botek nasiyos. Because people were lackadaisical. People were not careful in the Kedusha of the Beis HaKnesses. V'sichos b'shas tefillah, and talking during davening. And because of that disgrace, that they dealt with every shul, which is really a Migdash Ma'at, that's what the Tosfos Yontif was answered. And that's when he made that very, very moving Misha Berach, that people should know and be careful. And if they are careful of not talking in shul and not desecrating the holiness of a shul, they would have tremendous brachas, as we said earlier. But I want to tell you something so amazing. We said before that his Rebbe was the Maral. And you know what the Maral teaches us? Something fabulous. Where does the word tefillah come from? And the Maral says that if you take a look in Bereshis Memches Pasuk Yud Aleph, Yaakov says to Yosef, Ra'oi fanecha loy filolti. I never even had the thought. Rashi says, Loy milani libi lachshev machshava. I never had the thought that I would see you again. So filolti is a thought process. Filolti is a thought process between two individuals. That's between Hashem and Klal Yisrael. That's between every person who davens. That's what tefillah is. It's a thought process. It's a conversation between the individual and Hashem. Imagine you have a thought process, you have a conversation, and somebody interrupts your conversation. The flow is lost. And even if you interrupt yourself, the flow is not the same. So when we come and we are being oisik in tefillah, that's a thought process. That's a connection that we make to Hashem. We cannot allow ourselves to be diverted from that thought process, and we cannot allow anybody else to divert us from that thought process, and we certainly don't want to cause anybody else to have a disruption in their conversation when they have with davening towards Hashem. And I'll tell you something very interesting. You know what the shul stands for? Shul in Yiddish is spelled Shin Vav Hey Lamed, and I once heard that it stands for Shibchu V'Hoidu Lishmoi. We come to a shul to say thank you, to give praise to Hashem. Many people don't realize David HaMelech wrote Pischul Yisharei Tzedek Ovayvam Oideka. I'm going to come to shul, open up those gates, the gates of the Beis Medrash, the gates of Tefillah, the gates of the shul. Oideka. I'm going to say thank you to you. If you're saying thank you, you don't want to be interrupted. You can't interrupt when you're thanking someone. You're being grateful for everything that you have. And when you talk in shul and you cause others' conversation to start conversation with you, you're disrupting their flow of tefillah and their flow of thanks, and you're certainly interrupting yours. We don't want to do that, because when we have a conversation with Hashem, we want it to be straightforward and connect, so that we should be zeicha to all the brachas that the Tosfos Yontif spoke about. I just want to end with this amazing thing. You know, every time I go to the kever of the Tosfos Yontif, I tell people something that most people don't know. You know, there's a very famous sefer called Orchos Chaim LaRosh. The Rosh, the Rishon, took many halachas and many thoughts of Musar, and he put them down, and he wanted people to study them so that they would become better Yidden. You know something? The Tosfos Yontif took the Orchos Chaim LaRosh and he divided it into 7 portions, 1 per day for a week. In other words, every day he divided it so that it would be in 7 sections: Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Shabbos. And every day, you wouldn't believe, he had the people in his shul say it before Baruch She'amah while they were wearing their talis and tefillin. So it's very special. This Sefer and Art Scroll put out a translation. Here it is, Orchos Chaim of the Rosh. And of course, they also talk about how the Tosfos Yontif divided it in 7 days, so we'd say it every day of the week. Now, I just thought that I would take a look at this, and I know you're not going to believe it. You can't possibly know, but I am making this video on a Tuesday. So I figured, you know what? What would the Tosfos Yontif have said today in his shul, in Krakow or Prague or wherever he was? He would have said this part of the Tosfos HaRosh, of the Orchos Chaim LaRosh. And it's number 42 in the Sefer. Listen to this, you won't believe it, what he said on a Tuesday, what he wanted everybody to say every Tuesday. Erev Avoikev Etzerayim. In the evening, the morning, and the afternoon, Shemor ha'itim akvoyim l'tefillah. Be very careful that you keep the zmanim of tefillah. Upesach libcha sho'achas kodim atefillah. Open up your heart an hour, get ready to prepare for davening. V'hevazor shetiyah masar rishayim. Be careful that you're among the first 10. And listen to this, Tuesday. V'al tadaber sicha b'tela b'beis haknesses. Do not engage in idle talk in the shul. Could you believe it? We're making this video on a Tuesday, and on this Tuesday, every Tuesday, that's what the Tosfos Yontif would want us to remember, that we should al tadaber sicha b'tela b'beis haknesses. Don't speak idle talk in shul. But tefillin on roshcha v'al zroecha al yechsero, and tefillin on your hand and your head, of course, should never be missing. Let's live up to what the Tosfos Yontif would have wanted. Let's be sure that we live the type of life that the Maral said about tefillah. Let's not talk in shul. Let's merit the great brachas that the Tosfos Yontif conferred on all of us. Ad Bias HaGoyel. Thank you.